For us, this was a real wake-up call. We knew climate change would be impacting us, but if we are going to continue to see this kind of drought, what are the most resilient ways to maintain pastures in drought? This was what we wanted to try as a means to making us a more resilient farm and operation. We call our farm North Fork Farms because it's in the bluff country just above the North Fork of the Zumbro River. We have 53 acres, primarily pasture land, where we raise grass-fed cattle and pastured hogs for meat sales direct to customers, and also to sell both livestock, so both feeders and breeding stock, both cattle and hogs. Basically, we are planting in line 600 trees of various species in our pasture. This project is being funded through the USDA's Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education Grant, and also the USDA's NRCS, so Natural Resources Conservation Services, Environmental Quality Incentives Program. So we're getting funding for different parts of the project from both of these organizations, and it's really making a big difference for what we're able to do. The plan for the project is in 2024, in the spring of 2024, to get the trees planted, to get the 600 trees planted and protected with the wire cages and the polywire protection lane, and then let those trees grow for 2 full years and get established. We have been advised by some experts that the red mulberry could be pollarded as soon as their second year in the ground. Our plan is to, by the late summer, early fall of 2025, to go ahead and pollard those, take nutrition samples of the leaf fodder, both for the red mulberry and then for the other species that are doing well enough that we can collect the amount needed for the leaf fodder samples. The plan would be by the end of our second year of this grant to be able to test the leaf fodder and to start pollarding of the red mulberry at least. Some years ago, there was a book that came out, Project Drawdown, which is a book put together by a whole bunch of research from international scientists looking at how do we draw down the carbon that's in the atmosphere, which strategies are going to be most impactful in doing that. And silvopasture is the top agricultural practice listed in that Project Drawdown. And so to me, it's pretty important as a steward of this small piece of land to do what we can to think about mitigating climate change. I think our annual crop production systems are going to have to adjust and change as climate change starts to impact us more and more. Tree crops have been a solution for erosion and everything else for decades that we have just not been embracing. Another reason why we are choosing silvopasture is because in 2023, so just last year, we had another really big drought. Our hayfield then that we rent produced a third of what it did the year before, and we had to reduce our cattle herd in half in order for us to stay on pasture. We wanted to be able to improve our silvopasture system where we can add trees for shade for our animals and also to encourage more cool season forages in those areas. We've also added fruit and nut trees, so northern pecan, chestnut, hickory, apple, pear, serviceberry, and persimmon. What we have decided to do is to plant in a single line 60 feet off of the perimeter of our 45-acre pasture with the hopes that we would be able to be adding trees where there are none. We are also hoping to test the leaf fodder nutritional value for all of these species. SARE has funded some really excellent leaf fodder for livestock production in the past that has tracked nutritional value of the leaf fodder, but not for fruit and nut trees, and not in Minnesota, right? And so I think there's a lot of potential for seeing, okay, what grows here that in this slightly colder climate, and which of those species that can thrive in this colder climate, what else might they be able to provide in addition to the leaf fodder? And then what would be the nutritional value of that leaf fodder, both for the red mulberry, but also for some of these other species as well. The most challenging piece right now, we are not foresters and we aren't professional farmers. The farm is certainly a business that we have worked to run, but only for maybe 6 years, which makes us pretty beginning farmers, and neither my husband or I have sort of that generational farming experience either. We didn't grow up on working farms. It's been a lot of research, and we know that we are probably going to be making some mistakes as we are going about this, but we're pretty excited about it. Because we're a small farm, this is not our full-time business, we don't have hired help on our farm. And so part of the challenge has been, kind of recruiting temporary workers to come in and help us. And so 600 bare root trees to get in the ground with this kind of protection is a lot of work. Finding that vision has been pretty fun. Thinking about the possibilities and really investing in a vision of what this place might look like, not in 5 years, but in 40 years and beyond, has been pretty fun to think about that. And I think that's what drives us the most, is that vision of what it would look like. And it's been really humbling how our family and our friends have gotten behind that vision and been a part of this. That's pretty encouraging and exciting to have a community of folks coming together and believing in that vision and in our small little farm. We are really grateful. This project is supported by the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, U.S. Department of Agriculture, through the North Central Region SARE program. USDA is an equal opportunity employer and service provider. Any opinions, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this publication are those of me as the farmer, and they do not necessarily reflect the view of the U.S. Department of Agriculture.